Chapter 5. When Manifesting Doesn't Work. Open quote. If something you want is slow to come to you, it can be for only one reason. You are spending more time focused upon its absence than you are on its presence. End quote. Esther Hicks, The Law of Attraction. When I started my first coaching business, I didn't know how to make money. I panicked. I started to worry where the money would come from, and that triggered more doubts in my mind. Because of that, I eventually went back to working as an engineer, but I learned something valuable from that experience. When you're focused on a desire or a dream you have, maybe you want to start a business, whatever it is, in the beginning it can be exciting. A new relationship is exciting because you're focused on the fulfillment of it. You can feel that it's real, you feel the abundance of it, the truth of it. The one thing that will prevent you from attracting what you want is focusing on the absence of it. When your brain comes in and you start to analyze what you want, you begin to focus on the absence of it. And when you're doing this, you're getting in your own way of your desires being fulfilled. It's important to remember that the Creator is supporting you in the fulfillment of your desire. Because of this, your desires have no timeline. They're always available. The Creator is ready to serve up whatever it is that you want at any time. However, what happens for many people is that when we focus on our desires, we start to analyze them. We get in our head about them. We start to feel overwhelmed by the things we used to be excited about. Suddenly, we're putting unconscious pressure on ourselves, and the reason we do this is because we humans are conditioned to believe that we must work hard to get what we want. It can't be fun and easy. There must be something really hard I have to do. This simply isn't true. I want to give you 2 techniques to help you stay in the flow so you're following the path of least resistance and you get what you want. The first is focus on the fulfillment of what you want. You can do that by meditating first thing in the morning to internalize your intent. Secondly, it's important to become aware of when you are focusing on the absence of what you want. You will know that it's happening because you won't feel good. You'll start to worry and feel overwhelmed. These are all signs that you're focusing on the lack of what you want, not its fulfillment. When that happens, move your focus to something else that gives you joy and makes you feel good as opposed to the thing that you want. We put so much pressure on ourselves. We're like, I've got to make this. I've got to create that. I've got to make this thing show up. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is that for the first 30 minutes, it's amazing and it feels good. But then suddenly it starts to feel overwhelming. We start to experience anxiety and we put pressure on ourselves to create. Then because of that, we're now focused on the absence of it. Well, guess what happens? You're getting in your own way. You're the one causing everything to stop or slow down. Many times in my business, I would create a business plan for the month. I would write down all the sales prospects I was speaking with and then rate each one based on how likely they are to close. Cold, warm, or hot, ready to close in the next 30 days. Then I would put a value for each new client to close in the hot category and do some math to figure out what my potential revenue would be for that month. When I would create the plan, I could feel the fullness of my dream being realized. I could see the sales coming in month after month. I could visualize all the people I was going to help. I could feel the abundance. I would feel excited. 2 hours later, I'd still be thinking about my business plan, but instead I'd find myself focusing on the absence of my dream. Suddenly, it would feel different. I'd feel that sense of anxiety and overwhelm. This is what it looks like to get in the way of your dream showing up for you. You start to change the frequency of your vibration. You go from 5 hertz down to 2 hertz just by thinking about it differently. When you do this, you attract very different physical results. Inevitably, this is going to happen to you. So when you begin to focus on the absence of your dreams, here's what I want you to do. I want you to build the habit of focusing on something else that gives you joy, that makes you feel good. Here's how you do that. First, always stay general. What do I mean by that? Well, instead of focusing on earning a specific amount of money, paying off all your debt, and going on a cruise or traveling around the world, go more general. Just focus on what feeling all that will give you, which is freedom. What does it feel like to be free? as you start to feel the freedom of it, you start to feel the guiding energy of the entire dream. Instead of focusing on the details, you start to lighten up. You start to feel less pressure. And guess what happens next? That's when things start to unfold and fall right into your lap. So again, start with meditation and feeling the fullness of what you want. It's best to do it in the morning when you first wake because your brain is in the most receptive and in a state of least resistance. That's when you want to focus on your dream. That's when you want to focus on what you want. When you focus on your dream, if you're not clear exactly what it is, the details of it, just stay general. You don't need to focus on how it's going to show up. You don't need to worry about when it's going to show up. Because when you do that, you're putting pressure on yourself. That takes you out of the flow. Instead of thinking about the how, just focus on asking yourself questions like, what would freedom feel like? What would it feel like to have choices? What would it feel like to have joy? Then just focus on those feelings in your morning meditation. When you're finished your meditation, do your best to stay in that state throughout your day by focusing on things that give you joy and that make you feel good. Let me give you a practical example. So I have a client in the book publishing industry. We've been working together for about 10 months as of the writing and reading of this book. We provide marketing for his business, and he has generated around 120 sales conversations from our marketing efforts. However, he was only signing a small percentage of these conversations. What is he doing on these sales calls? I wondered. These are good leads. At least that's what I thought. So I emailed him and said, tell you what, let's get on a few sales calls together and I won't charge you anything up front. I just want to help you sign these clients. If we sign some clients, just give me 10% of whatever we close. He emailed me back saying he'd give me 20%. I said, all right, let's do this. I got on a few sales calls with him and quickly discovered that sales just aren't his strength. I also realized that for me, these calls are a lot of fun. They're easy for me because I have a lot of experience running sales conversations. And now, that's more money coming into my business because I'm getting paid to close these sales for him. All of this to say that I was following my own advice, focusing on the fulfillment of what I want. And secondly, if I started to focus on the absence of it, I would bring my awareness to something else that feels like fun. After a few weeks of running these sales calls for this one client, I got the idea, why don't I run these sales calls for a few other clients as well? I figured, why not? I have the time and it's fun for me. So I emailed a few clients to let them know that this was a new service that I was providing for free and that they could pay me a commission if and when we closed. A handful of clients signed up and we started taking the calls. Life was getting a lot more fun. Now let me give you another example. The other day I woke up, did my meditation and felt great. An hour later I started focusing on the absence of what I wanted. I started putting pressure on myself. I felt like I need to know how it will show up. And I started to feel stressed. After an hour of this, I thought, I'm going to go to the gym. I need to do something with this energy. So I'm at the gym playing basketball. I'm feeling great. I'm having a good time. I forgot about what I was focusing on literally an hour before. About halfway through my workout, I get this text from a potential client. He says he's in. He wants to sign with us. I wasn't focusing on him at all becoming a client. I was just doing something that gives me joy. I was playing basketball. Throughout the rest of that day, I wasn't really focusing on my business at all. I wasn't focusing on bringing in sales. I was just focused on having a good time and having fun. Later, around 10 p.m. that evening, I checked my email and saw that I had received a deposit for $3,500 US. I'm thinking, where the heck did that come from? It was from a guy I'd spoken with over 6 months earlier. He now wanted to be a client. Again, I followed these two principles. I focused on what I wanted in my morning meditation. I didn't know exactly what that was, how it was going to show up. It didn't matter though, because I know I wanted freedom. I wanted abundance, and I wanted to have fun. Then I just focused on the feeling and the essence of that. It's always safe to go general. You don't have to get too specific. You can just go general. This is just my daily practice. When I realize that I'm focusing on the absence of what I want, I focus on something else that makes me feel good, gives me joy, and feels fun to me. I joke a little and try not to take myself too seriously. And guess what happens? I get ideas, I get inspired, then I just follow that inspiration. You got to remember, the Creator has no timeline. The Creator is always willing to give you what you want. You must get out of your own way. To do that, you need to become receptive. You allow it. You get into the fullness of your desires, of your dreams, or of whatever you want. We all think we need to work hard to get what we want, and honestly, that is no fun. Why can't life be fun and easy? If you feel worthy of what you want, then it can be fun and easy. Thanks for listening to this free sample of the 7-day manifestation experiment, how you can create the life of your dreams. If you'd like to order the book, you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or on Audible in the description in the links below. Thanks again for listening. My name's Steve, and we'll talk to you next time.